For the latest information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic in Cupertino, please visit cupertino.org/coronavirus.
Good morning. Welcome to Facebook Live. My name is Corina Herrera Loera, Public Information Officer for the Emergency Operations Center for Santa Clara County. We will be taking off our masks just during the segment so that you can understand us more clearly, and ASL can also understand us more clearly. Today we have Melissa Gonzalez from the Business and Compliance Unit here in Santa Clara County, who will talk to us about compliance efforts and the educational approach to continue protecting our businesses and community members during this pandemic. But before we go to our questions with Melissa, I would like to emphasize that on Monday of this week, Dr. Sarah Cody reported that the number of both positive cases and hospitalizations for COVID-19 are increasing in an alarming rate here in Santa Clara County. There have been a lot of conversations and media focus on what will happen if we go back to the red tier. Here at the Emergency Operations Center, we are all working hard to have a plan in place. Discussions are ongoing as to what restrictions will look like if we are back in red. However, the more important issue is how to prevent from going backwards. We now have flattened the curve as a community, so we know that we can do it, and we've done it before. And we need to continue doing so. That means wearing a face mask, maintaining social distancing of more than 6 feet, and opting for outdoors because it is safer than indoors. And it also means ramping up our engagement, compliance, and enforcement activities here in Santa Clara County. Compliance with the requirements of the health order limits the spread of COVID-19. Now, to ask questions to our wonderful guest here today, Melissa, welcome.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Can you describe the compliant process? How do you receive complaints, and what is the process for responding to a complaint? If you can take us through that journey.
Sure. So we get complaints through our portal, seccovidconcerns.org. When we get those concerns or complaints from the public, we do triage them throughout several enforcement officers, and they either can warrant a phone visit or a site visit, depending on the risk, if it's willful violation, if it's repeat violations from repeat offenders, as well as if it's a imminent health hazard and it's a super spreading event. So when we receive a complaint, we do those site visits or phone calls, and then we will show up on site or have a phone call, provide education first, and then if it has to lead to enforcement, we will have to take those actions. So enforcements can either be a warning, a notice of violation, and possibly fines. The notice of violations can have a grace period or no grace period depending on the risk.
Thank you, Melissa. And can you tell us what a business can expect if a compliance officer visits their businesses?
Sure. So as enforcement officers, we will always identify ourselves. We will have a county badge and also a county business card. We will also state the reason why we're there, and the reason we're there is because we did receive a concern or complaint from the public. We will also observe if we are on site, and we will see if there's anything that needs to be in compliance. We will help guide you and educate you in gaining compliance. And if we can get those violations corrected immediately or willfully, then we don't have to go down the enforcement route. But if it does get to that point, then we will have to issue a notice of violation or a warning.
Thank you. And can you tell us what the importance of a social distancing protocol is? Some people just see it as a piece of paper. Can you tell us how important that is for our businesses?
Yes, so the social distance protocol is definitely more than a piece of paper. It lets the community know that your responsibility in taking these things seriously. It's also a good, useful checklist tool for the businesses to make sure they're implementing all measures applicable. And then as well as letting the community know all the measures that you're taking to keep everyone safe, not just the public, but also your workers.
Thank you. And also, it will keep your business open, because if our numbers are going high, we will need to possibly close down. I mean, we don't know, right, what the next steps are, but for now, the social distance protocol will keep your business open. And so how can the community help to ensure that businesses in our community comply?
Sure. So one thing we do ask for the community is, so when you visit your favorite restaurant or maybe your favorite establishment or business, we do ask that you look for that COVID checkmark prepared sign to make sure that the business has taken all applicable measures as possible. Secondly, we do ask that the community wear their face coverings, stay 6 feet apart from those that are not in their household, and make sure you're following all rules and restrictions that the business does provide. And I just want to emphasize as well is that if you do see a concern or anything that may draw your attention that may be alarming, please feel free to report those to seccovidconcerns.org.
Thank you, Melissa. And can you tell us if there's anything else that restaurants or businesses need to know in order to help them comply with rules?
Yes, definitely. So there are a lot of good resources out there for our businesses. We do want to make sure that you are familiar with the restrictions, with the mandatory directives, and the health orders. If there's anything that you need more clarification or you have questions on, we do also have the business call center that is available for our businesses to call with any of those questions to provide more clarification on those orders. We also have our business engagement team that is out there providing outreach, education to those businesses to make sure that they're in compliance before we get there.
Thank you. So as you heard, our focus is to educate our community, educate our businesses, help them ensure that we're all following the protocols. However, there are compliance officers starting to visit businesses if they're not complying. Thank you, Melissa, for that information. Anything else you would like to let our community know before closing up today's segment?
Yes. So one thing I do ask is that make sure you are following all the health orders out there and the restrictions. We do find a lot of businesses do want to comply. Our main goal is compliance. So feel free to reach out to all the resources and tools that are available to you out there. And don't wait for us to show up to gain compliance. We want to make sure that you're in compliance even when we get there and maintain ongoing compliance. And secondly, we do ask for the community help out there. Make sure you're following the current health orders, wearing your face coverings, staying socially distanced, and also following the business rules out there. And making sure that if you do see anything, feel free to visit our website, seccovidconcerns.org, and report those.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you for coming on our segment here today. As you heard, continue to follow the social distancing protocols, wearing your face mask, staying 6 feet away from any person that you do not live with. We need to tighten up because our numbers are going high, and there is that possibility of going back to the next, to the previous tier, and even the one before that if we cannot get a hold of our numbers. But most importantly, we want to prevent, from losing any more lives in our community, and so we get to do what we can. I know that the holidays are coming up. We're planning things. Maybe we thought we were going to be able to, open up a little bit, but, be more flexible, and we're not. Our numbers are going high, so we need to stay within our households, celebrate from home this year, maybe, have something creative during in a social distance way, virtually, start thinking and being creative so that you can stay home and celebrate with your loved ones from afar, so that we can save lives. And so continue to wear your face mask, stay 6 feet apart. If anybody happens to visit you, take them outside, sit apart, bring your blankets out. We need to stay safe. And know that if you have a business, make sure you're following all the protocols. Otherwise, you will have somebody like Melissa visiting your business to ensure that that happens. Thank you all for tuning in. And remember, we will be here on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 o'clock. Stay tuned. Thank you.
For the latest information regarding the COVID-19 pandemic in Cupertino, please visit cupertino.org/coronavirus.